allegiance and remain standing for Pastor Ken Nichols. He has some prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for this day, another day that you have given to us. Lord, I ask your blessings and guidance upon these men and women of our village who serve us, and may we follow them well. We pray for guidance, pray for understanding, pray for good fellowship and great discussion as well, Lord. Again, I thank you for all of them personally, and ask that you would bless them in their endeavors. Give you thanks again for this day, for this evening, and all the business that needs to be conducted. Maybe you be honored and glorified in Jesus' name. Amen.
Lisa, you want to take roll?
Sure. Jane Tyson,
Present.
Mike Connor,
Present.
Glenn Dusa, here, Bill Gritsmaker,
Here.
Jerry Hayes,
Here.
Eric Rogers,
Here.
Tim Waters.
Present. Thank you. I'll take a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting, September 11th, 2023.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of our September 11th, 2023 meeting as written. Second presented.
Moved and supported. Any changes of note? Seeing none, go ahead, Lisa.
Bill,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Gwen. Yes. Mike,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
James.
Yes. Passes. Moving on to presentations and communications. Danielle, do you have anything scheduled for tonight?
I do just want to share a communication, I guess, with everybody. The school did reach out today. The homecoming parade is this coming Friday. And in the past, they have come down Walnut to Lane Street over to Jefferson and then back up Giles. This year, they will actually be starting at the elementary school, coming down Lane Street, Jefferson, Giles back to the school instead of going down Walnut. So I just wanted to share that change with council and the public.
Thank you. All right, take a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Support. Moved and supported. Any comments on that? No, Lisa, if you will.
Mike,
Yes.
Gwen. Yes. Tim,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
James.
Yes. All right, tonight's agenda is approved. Moving on to public comment items on the agenda. Matt, you're listed.
Yeah.
Come on up. State your name and address for the record, if you don't mind.
Yes. My name is Matt Knopflo. My address is 212 Kingsbury, Blissfield, Michigan. What we're here today to discuss is the fact that me personally, I have been targeted by the village, and the village is ordering me to destroy my fields. I'm a farmer. I farm property within the village limits, and the village has ordered me to mow my fields down. I don't know of any other farmer in southern Michigan, let alone our county, who has ever faced these kinds of nuisance charges. Never before has this type of action been levied against an individual private citizen like it has in my case that I have been able to find. I'm no attorney. I'm just basing this on the information that I have and the best research that I could do in the time that I had to do. I ran through some of the legalese as I understand it. This is not a defense of my case. My case is going to be fought in the fullest extent in the court. I have retained counsel, and my counsel will be representing me. This is in no way a representation of my case. This is just a representation of the facts as they stand so that the villagers can understand what exactly is being done here. Not just to me, But as I understand it, according to the village attorney, there are a number of other villagers who are being targeted in the same manner. Unfairly, and in my view, from the research that I have done, and have contacted other attorneys, that this is also unconstitutional. This is a violation of my constitutional rights, okay? Today, I'm going to get into some of the Michigan state law as it directly ties into this specific case. Again, this is not my legal defense. This is just information for the rest of the village so that they can act accordingly. Okay? This is from the MSU Government Extension webpage. Okay? Every single person has access to this. Everybody can go and read this. They break this down in easy to read terms for every single person. Okay? Everybody can go to this website and look at this and see this information in black and white. Okay?
Matt, before you proceed, can I just ask,
Yes, sir.
can you just back up and give or summarize exactly what's happening? I have a general sense of what's
Yes.
happening, but I'm not quite sure exactly
Okay.
what argument you're presenting against. So what?
Well, I have a farm and I have fields, right, with crops on it. And the village has issued me a nuisance citation and said that I have to mow my field.
Okay.
And that is the direct terminology that Officer Wagner over there used. He said that the grass, which it is not grass, those are crops. He said the grass in my field, and he did use field, was over 12 inches in height. And that I was going to, if I did not show up in court, presented with a default misdemeanor judgment. The village wants to criminally charge me for farming. That's essentially what we're talking about here.
So
A field that has always been used for agriculture. Officer Wagner went out of his way to find, nobody has reported me because I've talked to all of my neighbors. I have signed statements from every single one of my neighbors that says they have absolutely no problem with what I'm doing. In fact, they like it. They want it to stay the way it is. They have said that if they go back, if the village goes back there and mows this property, it is going to destroy all of the values of our properties. Where does the village get off going in and destroying our properties like this? Nobody has made a complaint.
hold on a second. So did this arise from our zoning administrator?
This case began with a citation issued by Lieutenant Wagner.
Okay.
It was then submitted to the district court. It has now been handled by my office. I have been in communication with Mr. Canavo's attorney, and we are in discussions about this case. This is an ongoing case, so I don't think it's appropriate to comment on it.
Well, if I was strong, I don't want to comment on it either.
Certainly, Mr. Canavo is entitled to his 5 minutes.
Mhm.
But I would advise that no comments be made from the village.
Okay.
Well, yeah,
All right.
usually when you've done something wrong, your attorney will tell you, hey, don't say anything, you might get in trouble.
No, I just wanted to get the full picture.
Okay,
I was just sort of lacking a few parts as you were
Okay.
speaking, so thank you.
That makes total sense, and I understand where the village attorney is coming from. Great, if I was in his position, I'd be telling you the same thing. Keep your mouth shut. There's a pretty serious civil rights case here, and you might all be held liable. That's a big deal. I kind of wonder, is the village gonna be on the hook for all of the money that this is gonna cost? Because that was one of the things that I ran on in my campaign, was that we were wasting money, that we were throwing good money away, just wasting it. I don't see how targeting private citizens like me, when nobody's made a complaint, nobody has an issue with this. In fact, everybody wants it to stay the way it is. The village is the only one that's come in and trying to throw their weight around. I don't understand what gives you guys the right to say that you can come in and order us around. None of us want this. I went around and I've talked to 50 people. I've knocked on hundreds of doors, just like I did when I was campaigning. How many of those 50 people do you think were sympathetic to your cause? Not a one. Not one single person was sympathetic to what you guys were doing to me. And you still think that what you're doing is right, what you're doing is legal and just. You stood here and looked at that flag and said the Pledge of Allegiance. Part of that pledge is a pledge to liberty and justice for all. How long has it been since you have looked up the definition of liberty? I would advise all of you to go home tonight to look in your dictionary at what the definition of liberty is. That is freedom. That's freedom from the government. Part and parcel of being in America and the awesomeness of our Constitution is that it tells the government to leave us alone. And that's what I'm telling you here tonight. I didn't come out looking for this fight. I don't want to have this fight. You guys brought this. Officer Wagner brought this fight to my door. I never wanted this. And I am very concerned about the tax burden this is going to leave the everyday villager with. A legal fight like this is wildly expensive. I have been on a number of these legal fights in my life. The last type of fight that I had like this ran up in over the hundreds of thousands of dollars. We could pay for the freaking library with that kind of money. We could have paid for the heater for our pool for that kind of money. But instead, we're wasting it on attorneys to go after private citizens. Why is this?
Can you just not yell at us?
Yeah,
We're here
okay.
to listen, but we
You're
just
right.
don't want to yell.
Let's go over some of the basic thought process on this, on a RIFTA, a Right to Farm Act, okay? And this was put in place by the state to protect farmers just like me, right? There's a four-part thought process. Is this a farming operation as defined in MCL 286.472 Bravo? Am I still too loud or is that okay?
Yes, too loud.
Okay, I have a naturally loud voice. So next, is this producing farm products, quote unquote? And this is defined in MCL 286.472 Charlie. Okay, if you would like, I can actually read you the citations directly from the law. Okay.
Oh, we understand that we need to do some homework here. So you're quoting Michigan ag law and
Correct.
making a case.
Well, no, I'm not making a case. My case is going to be handled by my attorney in court. My case is already in court. I am here purely to advise the rest of the villagers as to their rights, okay, under Michigan law. This is not a defense of my case.
Right.
This is just to notify other villagers of what I have found within the Michigan law and how it may apply to their specific situation. Because as I have found out, there are a number of other villagers who are being targeted and harassed by the village in the same manner that I am. Okay. The next question is this farm commercial? And the answer to that is pretty much always yes. If you have sold anything from your farm at all, even to include one single egg, it makes it a commercial farming operation. So courts have ruled that commercial operations can also establish in any local zoning district. This is MCL 286.474, section 6. Papadillas v. the City of Troy, September 2006. And also in the Village of Rothbury v. Double J Resort Ranch, August 2004. This is the current case law for this that says that a farming operation moving into any zoning district, whether it's residential or commercial, if a town is under 100,000 in population, that district immediately changes to an ag district. If the city or the village decides to pursue any kind of legal action against the farmer. That's where we need to move on to the adverse of that. And this would actually be the steelman argument for the city. This is the most relevant case that you guys as a city have. Shloma v. the Ottawa County Road Commission. In the judge's statement, he said that the RIFTA, the Right to Farm Act, was never intended to be used as a sword to thwart the enforcement of local ordinances, right? So we know that. We already know that the law is not designed to be used as a sword. The law is designed to be used as a shield, as a defense against a tyrannical government, like you guys are. He also went on to say that this only applies to local ordinance regulations and resolutions of the local government that purport to extend or revise or conflict with the Right to Farm Act. In this case, it is clear that these local ordinances are wildly in conflict with the Right to Farm Act. I am a farmer, I am trying to farm. These directly are going to impact my ability to farm, my ability to make profit off of that land. And that's really where the civil rights case rises out of. A case out of South Carolina has already found that any local governing authority that tries to enforce any laws, rules, or regulations or ordinances that is going to affect a landowner's ability to make a profit from his property is clearly unconstitutional. That's what's happening here.
Hang on one second, Matt. So essentially, it's an ordinance. Ordinances, plural, that you're having a conflict with.
Correct.
Thank you.
Officer Wagner has the ordinance, he wrote it up. I didn't have the ordinance wrote down here. I can look it up if you want. 124.15, is that what it is? He doesn't want to say anything. Again, usually you don't say anything when, if you do, it's going to get you in big trouble. And I mean, frankly, that kind of seems like the case here. So let's continue on.
I don't want to point fingers at anybody, and again, it's sort of in the courts. We're gonna let the courts handle it.
Oh, yeah, we are, and that's what I've said all along. I am just out here telling the villagers what's happening to me, telling them my story. And I'm also quoting some statutes and some case law from the Michigan law and from the Michigan State website.
Have you ever even reached, or have you reached out to the Right to the Farm program, the Right to Farm program through the Michigan Department of Ag and Rural Development? It says they'll come in and assess of whether that's appropriate.
We have not yet, because frankly, it hasn't quite got to
I mean, I think
that
that
part.
would be a good first step, where
Yes.
it has to be requested by the farmer itself, and then secondly, what are your crops, I guess, are my only
Just
question.
that I advise caution, because Mr. Canavo is represented by counsel.
Mhm.
So I really caution against questioning, because he is not his attorney here.
I mean, let's be frank though,
And I-
if the village council is willing to look at dropping these charges, because let's face it, they're BS charges. Everybody around town knows me. The people around this property know this property. Everybody is in agreement that this is absolutely outrageous that the village would even consider doing something like this. This is insane. If you guys are willing to talk about that, I would love to talk about having these charges dismissed. I would love to talk about what we could do to rewrite some of these laws to ensure that a problem like this doesn't occur again. Because as the current law is written, literally every single person in town could be written the same exact ticket. There are what's called nuisance weeds that every single person in town has in their yard. But he used that code and that violation to come after me. He didn't use it to come after every single person in town, even though those weeds that are annotated in that law that are illegal are in every single person's yard. They're endemic to this area. You can't get rid of them. How are you going to charge me for something that every single person in town is doing? Literally, every single person in town has these weeds that are quoted under this statute, under this local ordinance. Yet you're going after me. I want to know why that is. Why is it that you have not written out citations, misdemeanor citations to every single person in town? I think that's a pretty simple question. If you aren't targeting me, if you aren't going out of your way to target specific individuals, why has everyone in town not received a violation notice? That would be fair. That would be what's called justice. Just like when we stood and put our hands over our heart, every one of you did. And you said the Pledge of Allegiance. You looked at that flag and you said the Pledge of Allegiance, didn't you? Every single one of you did. But now, when the rubber meets the road, and you have to make the hard decisions about whether you're going to uphold liberty and justice, or whether you are going to bring it down and wreck everything. Really, these are some pretty tough moral questions to be put at your doorstep. I'm not envious of the position that you're put in. When I talked to you a couple of years ago, specifically, you and I, remember when we talked over at the American Legion?
We have.
Well, yeah, we did. We talked specifically about these issues. And at that time, you were very supportive of my constitutional view about these laws. I'm wondering what's changed since then, because I watched you up here a couple weeks ago, and you seem to be very amenable to not only changing to upholding this law, but you seem supportive of moving the height from 12 inches to 8 or possibly 6 or even 4 inches. Is that your stance?
I'm not making any comments at this time.
Okay, I wouldn't want to if I was you either, like I said.
Matt, let me finish if you don't mind. Based upon what our village attorney has suggested.
Mhm.
So I am saying nothing at this time.
Yeah, and like I said, if I was you guys, I wouldn't want to say a word either.
Matt, I don't want to limit your time.
I'm almost done. I literally just have a half page here. If you,
Okay, I just want to give you the opportunity to.
I just want to round it out here.
Put your information out there for others if they want to get in contact with you as
Yeah.
well.
Again, like I said, this last half page here. This is the opinion 7302 by the Michigan Attorney General, March 28th, 2018. Again, this is the most current case law that I could find for this. He said local governing ordinances cannot regulate any of the following due to the RFTA. And these are just a short list as examples of things that you do not have the authority to regulate. Livestock per acre, site planning by local zoning and administration, limit to manure application or specify the application methods for manure, any comprehensive plans regarding nutrient management. Of note, these are only issues that he had directly addressed. There are thousands of other issues that apply under this. Not mowing your crops under would definitely be one of those issues. Again, my name is Matt Canablo. If anybody would like to reach out and contact me, I've been in contact with Melissa Bernier. They could definitely reach out and contact her, or you could stop in the village office. Danielle Gross has my information as well, and she would be more than happy to hand it out to anybody. I'm giving her my permission. So anybody that wants to get in hold of me, anybody who is undergoing persecution by our local government and would like legal representation, please get a hold of me. We can fight this together. We can let them pick us off one at a time, or we can all band together and fight this together as a community. That's what I've always been about. I'm the guy that goes and mows my neighbor's lawn. I'm the guy that takes the shovel over and shovels somebody's driveway. That's what building a community is about. Building a community is not about using the government and threat of law enforcement, imprisonment, stealing of your property and resources. This doesn't bring a community together. This helps nobody. This tears everything apart. What you guys are doing here is ripping this community apart. That's all I have tonight.
Thank you for your comments. We're taking under consideration. Any other public comment items not on the agenda, items on the agenda? You're the only other guy. Yeah. So yeah, that's fine. Do I just take your name, address?
Yeah, my name is Micah Hind on 10,000 Ridge Road, Blissfield. I know you guys know my dad's property is pretty much an eyesore, that whole block of property. I've been trying to talk to him about possibly purchasing that block and doing something with it. Main thing I'd like to talk about today, though, is possibly doing a marijuana dispensary. The city of Ypsilanti last year made $518,000 off their dispensaries. City of Adrian last year, $570,000. So these people are driving through Blissfield to go to Adrian to purchase a product, which we could do in Blissfield and create some sort of tax revenue. As well as I would clean up that property to the fullest extent. Fix the apartments, make them look presentable. Fix the house in behind Frosted Boy, make it look presentable. And then do my best to get a fast food restaurant in the empty Richmond First lot. That's been my goal. I'd also like to convert his old office into a condo for myself. Within the village limits here. It would be a big project. I do have some financial backing. Down in Florida as well, here in Michigan. So it could be a pretty smooth project, I believe. So I just wanted to get a preliminary, feeler for a dispensary within the village limits. At the corner there up front where Frosted Boy currently is. Like I said, it's been my goal. I mean, right now I'm only in Michigan half the year. I was in Florida the other half the year. But I hate seeing what the property has become. And I'd like to do my best to try to help the village, and we need business in the village. There aren't many businesses. And everyone I've talked to fast food wise right now, the only thing they have to base sales off of is what McDonald's is doing. And McDonald's is one of the poorest McDonald's in the whole state. And all these other franchisees know that. So, but they don't understand there's a McDonald's 7 miles down the road that does a much better job. So if there was something in Frosty Boy that was doing something and the property looked good, maybe Wendy's, maybe a Taco Bell, maybe, whatever it is, Del Taco, anything would help this village out and would bring taxable income. Dispensary is not the best. I mean, I'm not a user of marijuana, but there's a lot of people that are. So why not curb a few people from driving through town to go to Adrian when they can stop here in Blissfield and have just as good as business. And then, like I said, the numbers that the taxes that these cities are bringing in, Ann Arbor, Ypsilanti, Adrian, it's changing. Like it changes what they're able to do within their cities and villages. So that was, I guess, trying to get some feedback if it's something you think would be worth pursuing or something that's not. If not, like I'm not going to buy the property. I'm not going to try to fix it. It needs to be done. Casey's was going to be a good option for there, and it didn't work out. But so we're stuck with what we have now, and it's something that I could get my dad out of, free him of it, and then help the village, help myself, and help people that need jobs as well.
Mike, have you talked with the DDA director?
I have
about
not.
our village? She's right behind you.
Yep, I've talked to her about other things, not this in particular.
That she might be the person that you could talk with regarding some of the questions that you are asking us. As she would have an idea of what council and the village are looking for and in need of.
Okay,
Not that what you're saying is not necessarily, but she would be probably the first person I would recommend.
yeah, I understand it's not going to be something that's in need, but what is in need in this town is a business that makes money and provides taxable dollars. So, and like I said, cleaning up the property, it would be a way to get a Wendy's or a Taco Bell to revisit the situation and revisit opportunities within there.
What's the hurdle? What's the current hurdle?
I believe that the village has ordinances against it.
We opted out of that.
What's that?
We opted out of marijuana dispensaries when I first came on council in 2020.
So is that not something that can be rewritten or reversed?
Danielle or Dave,
It could be, but
council's pleasure.
Correct.
This is,
It's an ordinance, so you guys write the policy and then we follow it. I mean, so it's that you guys would need to talk to the citizens and determine if what you think is best for the village. Absolutely could be rewritten. It'd be a public hearing with an ordinance change. But you guys would just need to give us direction if that's something. My understanding in the past and my God, I'm gonna tell you I wasn't here for the conversation, but my understanding at that time is there was a lot of opposition in the community to having dispensaries. So at that time, the council went with the ordinance they have. I don't know if that's changed at all.
Yeah, I understand, and like I said, these are just numbers that I found on MLive, like Ann Arbor, Washtenaw County. They distributed $1.4 million in 2022 to the county. Lansing, over $1 million. Big Rapids in Mecosta County, $881,000. Grand Rapids, it's the same thing. And all the way down, Bay City, $673,000. These are, I mean, one dispensary is not gonna bring that kind of money to Blissfield, but it'll bring something. It'll make a change. You know, it'll be something I think worth having. Like I said, I'm not a big user of marijuana products by any stretch of the imagination, but I've seen how busy these ones in Adrian, I've seen how busy the ones in Ann Arbor are. So potential for the village to do something and, like I said, clean up that property and make it look good. Additionally, if something like this were to happen, the south side behind the alley, I would be willing to donate to the village for parking and whatnot, where the putt used to be and where the beer tent used to be. So then you guys could. What's that?
There was a former mini hut site here.
Yeah. There was.
Yeah, we did have a presentation from a company called Tranquility Fields.
Okay.
That did bring in and showed us a study and actually they had information. Every time you go to a dispensary, I'm told you have to swipe your ID. So they actually show the amount of people within the township, I believe, that were shopping for it. So it was an eye-opening presentation, to say the least. I'm only gonna speak for myself. I believe in taxing it, legalizing it, and letting the business community and the markets dictate. But you'd have my support with it. I don't know what if you poll the villagers or poll council, I don't know what their viewpoints are, but I'd love to see the property cleaned up. That dispensary would not be at the top of my list, but something, it's been underdeveloped or being undeveloped. When I first got here, there were buildings on there and your father decided to raise them. So I would love to see that property be redeveloped. So good luck. We can definitely take a look at those ordinances and see if there's council can come to an agreement.
And that would need to go before planning commission because it would be under the zoning ordinances.
Okay, so what would be the best course of action for Micah, just to read this information and then start?
I believe I have your information already, Micah, from, I know you've talked to Laura and I think I've talked to you about a few things, but yeah, we can follow up with you, if you want to come talk to Laura and I, Stacy's no longer with us, so I'll be filling in on all the planning and zoning items and covering that board, so we can talk about it there and start. I may present some options, see what they want to do, but ultimately it's going to be up to council, and I think the planning commission is going to want some feedback from council. This is even something you guys want them to work on, because they can work on an ordinance or allowing dispensaries within certain areas of the village, but if you guys are just gonna say that our residents don't want this and we don't want it, then it's kind of a waste of the planning commission's time. So I don't know if you guys want to have a more formal presentation, or I mean, you guys give us direction here, what you think, but that would be, if you guys are open to it, the planning would draft something, recommend it to you guys.
I'd be 110% against it for various reasons. For a Taco Bell, Wendy's, dispensaries, 110% against it. And we'll fight as much as I can to keep it from happening.
Against fast food as well?
No, fast food.
Oh, well, I thought you meant something.
That's me, dispensary, no.
I'm totally against any dispensaries here in this community.
I understand that. I understand
For
that.
various
Well.
reasons.
I understand that.
So just so you know, I'm against 110%. And I will fight with everything I can within me to keep it from happening.
So are you against liquor stores as well?
I am.
Okay. So.
My record's 100%.
I understand, I know you,
What was your last name again?
Hein. So like I said, I'm not out to like, I'm not gonna be going door to door to try to sell products that people don't want, but. Like I said, people are driving through Blissfield and stopping in Adrian to buy products. So why not have them stop in Blissfield and create taxable revenue? It's the same thing, right now, it's legal in Michigan, it's the same thing as buying beer. I know you don't like, I know you don't like alcohol drinkers either, but like I said,
I would like to, if there are ways to somehow poll our residents without a formal vote, I'd like to know more what our residents.
I mean, we could put out a survey.
We already did that not that long ago, and the majority of those polled were against the dispensary in the past. Again, things change and people change, people's opinion changes, they learn whatnot. Mike actually reached out to me and I was, I'm the one that said, well, you should probably come to council again, because we did pass that ordinance banning the dispensaries in the village. Again, the ordinances can change, things can be revisited. I would recommend that you reach some sort of discussion with our legal and with Danielle, because it's not just about whether they're permitted, that ordinance, but also the where and within, certain distances of different schools, whatever it is. I mean, there's more to just saying yes or no. So I would, again, try to seek out more information. And obviously the funding mechanism, I wouldn't want to go through it all and then say, well, we don't have that, some sort of fuller presentation. So to show that this is a viable business proposal or business plan, and maybe we could revisit it then. But again, I mean, for us to have our attorney do some research and say, these are our options, I think it's a good first step.
When's our next meeting of the whole?
October 16th, 16th, we have on that agenda the discussion for the wastewater treatment plant lab building, DPW, and the sludge building of the water treatment plant.
Okay.
Which I think will take us about probably an hour and a half. So I don't think that we could put them together, but that's after that, I don't have anything scheduled at this point.
All right. But I'm thinking if just like maybe a 20-minute conversation, just to get an understanding from council, to see, that also gives us a few weeks to speak to residents and come back with some preliminary idea of how we want to approach this, because it is going to have to go to legal, it's going to have to go to the planning board.
Yeah.
So
And-
do we want to do that? Does that sound okay? We'll just make it quick, but it would give us some time to at least 2.5 weeks here.
What would we do, James? Go knock on people's doors and take a poll?
Well, people are,
Who's gonna,
Again,
who's gonna believe if I come back with a certain amount, who's gonna believe what people told me?
well, it's just gonna give you an understanding of how you may or may not want to vote, or others that maybe don't have, or have a neutral position at this point, and maybe they want to go speak to some peers about their trusted peers or trusted constituents in the village and how they feel. I think the sentiment is changing, right? And people are seeing the tax revenue, they are seeing that, so Morenci is, got a windfall down there, so. The sentiment is changing for some, not others, so I would say at least
I was under the impression that
15-20 minute conversation, I
But
think at least.
amount of dispensaries in Adrian, that the Michigan dispensaries were beginning to have some difficulties because there are so many dispensaries. So I've been hearing the opposite, as far as not that money's not out there, it certainly was. Is it currently? I don't know if it's the same pace, if you will. But that's my understanding, is because of the number as it increases, that there's more supply, and it's not, businesses are not making the same amount of money as what they once were.
Right, yeah,
So I would talk with Laura Nichols, I mean.
right,
About,
obviously, the more dispensaries there are, the less there's gonna be to spread around. However, when you've got a majority in Ann Arbor and then in Morenci,
coming.
like, there's. These cities were smart. Ann Arbor, like I said, they made out like crazy because of it. They had 28, I think 28 dispensaries now. I think Adrian has 21. So, I mean, not only is it giving people jobs, it's creating, like I said, the taxable revenue. And how many of those buildings in Adrian would be vacant if there wasn't dispensaries in them? Blissfield losing businesses. So I mean, obviously it wouldn't be my first choice, but it is a choice that could financially make it work on that block and financially possibly bring in a Wendy's or a Taco Bell or a Del Taco or Arby's or whatever that we need in this town. You know, we have probably the worst fast food choices in the world and the worst fast food restaurants that are ran in the world, so. I think the village needs something. Like I said, I'm Mr. Lars, listen, I was against it until it became illegal. So
I'm still against it.
I know you are. I understand.
Not afraid to tell anybody,
I understand. Hey,
regardless of who says what.
says right in the Bible, use what the land provides. God gave you the plant, use it, right?
You want to start talking Bible? No.
You say, does it not say that?
Not here to argue.
I'm not arguing, I'm just providing a fact, like, it says that in the Bible. Use what the
I think it's
land
a
provides.
conversation you and I can have
That's fine.
off the record.
Perfect.
All right, so let's bring it back for a quick discussion at the next meeting of the whole, quick discussion. Mike, I think for your time, we'll be in contact with you. In the meantime, feel free to reach out to our DDA director, and Danielle. So, good luck.
Hey, is it Mike or Micah?
My God,
How do I spell that?
MICAH.
MICAH. Gotcha. Thank you. I called you Mike earlier. I apologize.
You're quite right, happens a lot. Thank you.
All right. Any other comments, public comments, items on the agenda, items not on the agenda? Right, seeing none, we'll move on to unfinished business. Anything for unfinished business? Okay, no. New business then. So item number one, resolution year-end amendments. Does anybody need an explanation on this? Sort of just tying up loose ends, making sure the financials are ready for audit at year end, making sure our fund balances are correct. And anybody have any comments? If not, take a motion to approve the budget amendments.
Yeah, just real quick. This is part of our learning process, right? I guess with the state, with our auditor, because we didn't pass the quote amendments last year until after the fiscal year started in October. Is that correct? So this is something that should be done at the end of this fiscal year.
So last year we did do it before our fiscal year ended, which is the requirement. I know previously it was done at the first meeting in October, which we then get a notation on our audit. I understand why it was done in October, because it is a challenge to do these, because we're still paying bills within the fiscal year. But yeah, we're required to bring all of our accounts into balance. So that's just saying that if we budgeted 1,000 and we spent 15, we have to amend to cover the 1,500 so that we don't show that that account being negative. And I tried to give a summary of kind of overall, our funds are in really good shape. Our staff did a really good job this year of watching budgets and making sure that they were buying what they needed, but not overspending. So almost all of our funds came under budget, which I tried to show you guys, because when you look at this budget amendment, I'm just pulling out and extrapolating those items that are over budget, so you don't see kind of a whole picture. But again, we're in really good shape.
Make a motion to approve the resolution approving the fiscal year 2022-2023 year-end budget amendments as presented.
I'll support what he said.
Okay, any other questions or comments, questions for Danielle or?
My only comment would be, I think that this year, hopefully we will have a little better track record for the Parks and Recreation group.
Okay, you're talking about the next fiscal year.
Yes, sir.
Lisa?
Tim,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
James,
Yes, thank you. Motion passes. Action item number 2, approve the consent to enter.
I have a little bit of elaboration on that, Danielle, please.
Yes. Sorry, so I was contacted by, Adam with WSP, and I believe, Greg Miller is on, I can't tell by the names, is on Zoom with WSP as well. We do have specific questions, for them, but they are working with, WSP was, I'm not sure exactly, they're working with Eagle for the Ben's Realty property to do some environmental or ground sampling testing. And they are requesting access from us for the property. It's the historical depot property or the DPW facility. It's in the grassy area along the road there. They're wanting to put a monitoring wall there to be able to pull those samples and check everything. So in order to do that, they would need that consent to enter agreement approved. I had let them know at that time, I didn't have the authority to do that without the council taking action on that. I did send it to Dave, and I asked Dave to be here because this is, I've not ever had to do this before, and wanted to make sure if you guys had questions that he or I could answer them. And again, I would refer to Greg as well, but all of the work is being done with Eagle and Ben's Realty. They would just access that site. They would notify us ahead of time, make sure that we could get in and out. It wouldn't impact our, whatever services DPW is doing that day or their needs.
Is WSP the subcontractor?
Right, they're the contractor that would actually be doing the sampling of the work, yes.
Would that monitor go right where the red X is?
I apologize, Tim, I don't know. Oh, on the map?
Yes.
Yes, I'm
Okay.
sorry, I'm like, is there a red X out there?
Yeah. It can be it can be moved or adjusted. I don't know if you
On the
can.
map, they said was where it would be.
We've had these numerous times, numerous requests, Smith Triangle property for one, that they had test wells all over just to check from these old tanks that used to be underground. So they tested the property that Michael was talking about earlier. It's just to get an idea of how much is leached out from years past. It's very basic, it's very simple. They're only gonna be literally within the right of way technically, I guess, or on our property. So they're not entering the building. It's a small test site. Very common occurrence for these old sort of tanks.
Why do you call it the bin site that's over by the depot?
Because there was a gas station at the Benton property, so they're testing that old site and to see how far it leached and to test
So
that
that's the reason
groundwater.
they call it the name bin site.
Yeah.
They're gonna test the water table.
They're wanting to see how far that contamination is
See if it's
gone into the soil.
That's where the contamination originated,
Okay.
and so they're wanting to see, it's called a plume. And so they're wanting to see how far the plume has gone and what the extent of it is, what the concentration is, and that's what that monitoring well for. They just need our permission to access our property to,
And your thoughts are,
I have no issue with it. That's, like Mike said, it's very common.
And Ben's Realty, they're aware of what we're doing.
I was curious about that.
I don't know if Ben's Realty really can make a determination if Eagle has come in. The same thing happened recently with the old drag in the site, and it's really Eagle calling the shots. So
And my understanding is WSP has been communicating with Ben's Realty. I can tell you, I did not personally reach out to them about this item, but I would imagine that they're gonna be in contact to access their property and whatever they need to do there.
Is it generally on
Correct.
the?
That's correct.
That's correct. He said that's correct. Are you on there, buddy?
Yeah, can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me or not.
we can hear you.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, we've been in contact with the realty company, and then next week or the week after, we're gonna be there doing drilling. So in the next 2 weeks is when we would want to drill. And that would include putting that monitoring well on that property, and it can be moved just where the red X is. We can move it anywhere in there, just it's the grassy area. You can mow over, it's not gonna stick up. We'll be in there an hour, put the well in, we come back a couple times a year and sample it. And we'll give you the results if you want.
I would think we would want the results, don't you?
Yeah, I would recommend that we have them sent to us.
So you talked to Jermaine Benz then?
I'm sorry.
Did you talk to Jermaine Benz?
I'm not sure who the person was, tell you the truth. But this first, I didn't know what his first name was.
What's her husband's name? Her husband is Brett, but Jim works with her. Jim is her son.
Mr. Ben, I guess. I don't know his first name.
We have no control over their property, though. This is
Right.
about talking about our site. That's all that
Yeah.
matters.
Come on.
Thank you.
Do you need a motion?
The other thing is that Eagle also wants us to put a well across the street. What is it? Is it Adrian right there? That's another one. South across East Adrian, but I don't see a place to put a well there, but that's another spot Eagle asked us to put a well. So I don't know if we can put one in the sidewalk or not, but they're requesting us to do that.
Yeah, reach out to Larry Litsky. He owns the grass property that you can drill a test site there.
We did, and he did not want us on there.
Yeah, then technically you probably don't have any site because it's all zero lot line buildings.
That's a tough one.
All right, anything else for Mr. Miller on Zoom? All right, if not, I'll take a motion for the consent agreement.
I'll make a motion then to approve the consent agreement to enter into the agreement between Michigan Eagle and the village of Blissfield, property located at 105 North Lane Street. Authorize the village administrator to sign on behalf of the governing body.
I'll support. Anything supported, thank you. Any other further questions or discussion? No, Lisa, if you will.
Gwen,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Mike,
Yeah.
Jerry,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
James.
Yes, that motion carries. Thank you for being available tonight through the Zoom app or whatever it is we broadcast on.
Thank you.
Action item number 3, appoint a wastewater treatment supervisor.
My recommendation is there, so I should say my recommendation, the interview committee's recommendation is to appoint Steve Shields to the wastewater treatment plant supervisor position. He's currently in that position as acting. We'd like to make that official. I am recommending that we appoint him at the post probationary wage because he previously did this position and he's now been in this position for just over 3 months, I think we're at now. So we know that he's capable and can do the job. He's fully certified. But if you guys have questions for me, the interview committee was myself, Bill and Jerry. So I'm sorry. Yeah, Jerry. If you have questions for any of the 3 of us, let us know.
Thoughts, guys?
I mean, we had really good candidates. I think Danielle outlined in her brief that any 3 of them could have handled the job, but I think Steve's experience out there, that is a tricky plant to run, and he's been out there running it. I've already seen some results where he's taking care of things that didn't get taken care of before. Upkeep, maintenance, that kind of thing, that said a lot to me.
Taking on a leadership role.
Exactly.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, we had a good discussion and pretty much it was, we all agreed on the choice, so it was a good discussion.
He was a very capable candidate when I interviewed him for the last round, and it was really difficult to make a decision between him and so I just knowing the interviewing background and now his work background, feel strong about hiring them.
I have 2 questions. The post probationary wage, that would make sense because it has filled in that capacity, I agree. It's the 33, 32 technically October 1 though, when that, so it would be whatever this year's.
Right, the October one is the 33, 32.
Right.
I
Throw
I
it
was
in there,
just
but you know what I'm saying?
going to do it at that wage because it's only 1 week and this, but if you want me, I can.
I think the right thing to do, again, we have these positions set it at, you know, paying for the week, unfortunately, it is what it is, I hate to make things more messy for you, but that's the way that we approved the pay scale. So pay them at the maximum wage as approved for fiscal year 2022-23. And then secondly, would you like to add into the motion to have you post that if we do move him up, obviously that would open up a operator position, we might as well just include that in the motion for Daniel to post and fill the operator, the open operator position as well. Great.
So this current wage, it would be a week at 30.15. And then October 1 would be the 33.
So do you want the motion to read October 1 rather than September 26th? Does that make sense?
Yeah, whatever is easier for you guys.
It's gonna take the position the 26th at a lesser wage, but then October 1st, you'll get the higher rate.
Right,
Yeah.
so just in the new fiscal year.
And then also the recommendation to go on with the operator position, the vacancy for the operator. You want this separate motion, Danielle?
I don't have to have that motion to move forward with that. I mean, it's, you guys have budgeted for it and we will have to go through the process to do that. But if you want to include it, you certainly can. And whatever, again, it's really your preference.
And did you have something for discussion? No. I thought more Mike was.
And
Somebody would.
I apologize, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Really, the motion can be, if you guys are, we'll just do a effective September 26th at a post probationary wage of 30.15. You don't have to identify the increase because we, again, you guys have already approved that, so he would be treated as every other employee in October 1 would get that.
Do we really need to add the other job?
That's what you don't have to, but you certainly can if you want. It's,
Well, she hires, but we still decide whether or not we're gonna fill that position.
Right, I see what you're saying.
Right?
yeah, I mean, yes.
We did.
I mean, it's budgeted for, but yeah, you could say, no, we're not gonna fill it.
I will entertain a motion with or without it.
Move council appoint Steve Shields to the wastewater treatment plant supervisor effective September 26th, 2023 at his post probationary wage. As recommended by the interview committee, and that we authorize the village administrator to post and fill the open position if Steve does take such position. That makes sense.
That's to me.
I'll support that.
All right, moved and supported. Any other discussion? Nope. All right, go ahead, Lisa.
Bill,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
James,
Yes. Is Steve on tonight? Well, the name's listed. Well, congratulations, Steve. Thank you for stepping up. Appreciate your work and dedication out there. All right, moving on. Action item number 4, approve the master plan public comment.
I sent out the draft master plan to you guys. The planning commission is still reviewing it. It'll go back to them after the 63-day comment period for a recommendation to you guys to approve it. But we are required as part of the process to open this comment period. And the planning commission did recommend to you guys to do that so that we can keep moving forward and hopefully get this adopted in November, December timeframe. But if you guys have questions, let me know.
So Danielle, as we receive it now and we give the 60 days to review it, will we be having discussion, specific discussion about the plan at council or not necessarily?
You will after the 60, so during the 63-day comment, you guys are able to provide any feedback that you have regarding the plan. And you can send that all to me and then I'll get it to McKenna. And I say you guys, it's open to all citizens, so anybody, and it's already on our website. We'll be sending out notices. We'll also notify adjacent communities and give them an opportunity to provide feedback and comments. Blissfield Township will be part of that, and so changes can be made in that period. And then after that period closes, the planning commission will review and incorporate any recommendations that they feel should be or anything that should be changed. And then they'll recommend the plan be approved to council. And at that time, you guys will review it. So as changes happen, I will keep you guys posted, but definitely on your time when you have some, go through that planning. And you can scribble on it and turn that in, you can email, whatever is easiest for you guys to get that feedback to me.
Did
No, I just think.
you print out hard copies last time?
No, well, I can't for you, Tim. I just emailed it this time. I'll print you a hard copy. And if anybody else needs one as well, and same with the residents, they can stop in the office and I'd be more than happy to print them off. I did send it to MEDC as well for review. Blake actually reviewed it to ensure compliance with our RRC. And it is currently in compliance with that. So it's looking, there's a few changes I have, but it's looking really good.
We've gone through this at the planning commission level, and we've made changes. And it seems like every time we get the document back and we notice something else, so please go through it. If you see anything, let me know and I'll take it to commission. It's pretty robust document though.
Still looking for a motion.
Move to authorize the required distribution of the draft master plan and open the comment period as recommended by the planning commission.
I'll support.
And supported. Any other questions or comments for Jerry or Danielle? Well, we appreciate your hard work, Jerry, and your planning board. Lisa, if you will.
Mike,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
James.
Yes. Motion passes. Moving on to reports. Any questions on the reports?
Maybe observation on the library board meeting document that it did state that they had gone to, I believe, Ogden for one of their meetings, but I didn't recall seeing it on their other documents in the past. So just something that I had observed. I think then too, we've had the opportunity here to do a meeting or two.
Yeah, I went to the September 7th meeting, which was a regular monthly meeting. And I also attended their special meeting that they had last Monday, I think it was, September the 18th. They have reached out to several of the townships around, and they're in the process of refining their paperwork that they're gonna end up requesting from. Greg is also going to meet with Mr. Riley out at the high school on the 28th, in just a few days, to start to discuss that process of going through the school system to become a district library. At their September 7th meeting, just so we all know here, they did table the lease agreement for the building. They wanted to go through and edit some things in there. But they, as far as I know, they have not edited those to bring them back to their board to look through. And of course, I think they'll have to come back
to us with that as well. Is that correct, Daniel?
Yes, you guys have not approved that lease agreement at this time.
I know in our packet, there is a section in there with their lease agreement in it. If you want to glance through that, it's the library facility lease agreement, which is on page 120 of 136 in our packet. It does start there. And Danielle, can you just round towards like their third page, which is actually 123, there's some, it's in the insurances section that's been edited. Is that their edits? Do you know?
Yes.
Okay. So. They also had a Friends of the Library meeting the following night, which would have been the 19th, I believe it was. I did not attend that meeting. From my understanding, they had several people from the village area and friends of the library that did attend. And they've started the process of, I believe, of getting their fundraising started for the library.
Well, the goal right now is to
Well,
grow the
We'll
growth,
have to wait until public comment.
to grow the growth.
That's all that I have on their end. They did have a resignation of one of their part-time employees, and I believe they are in pursuit of replacing that person now. That was the indication that I got at their special board meeting that they had last week. And that would give them 2 full-time and 3 part-time people.
Right, any other discussion points on the reports? All right, I'll open it up for council discussion.
I have 3 things, if I may.
Sure.
The first one is regarding Parks and Rec. I spoke with Danielle and hoping to do some of the interviewing. How many applicants are there exactly, Danielle?
I think right now I have 4. Oh my gosh, I'm pretty
I
sure.
thought there was a little more than that.
Well, I'm up to 17 people.
But only 4 have.
That said they're going to submit. I don't know if all 17 will, but I have actually 4 in my possession at this time.
And I believe that Emily Mullins is going to be on as one of the Parks and Rec folks that's going to be on the interview committee. And then Brandon confirmed tonight that he'll be the other person. So those will be the 2 people that will be available for interviewing then, Danielle. I know you had wanted to start the interviewing process, I believe, next week.
Yes, I would love to.
Okay, so you can get in contact with Brandon and Emily, and we should be able to get things moving to the Parks and Rec. So that's the first thing I'd like to address.
Tell on that, because that was my question. I saw the posting and I guess I misunderstood. I thought we were still going to talk about possibly or potentially changing the roles of that position. So would that be done before we hired out the Parks and Rec coordinator?
When you say we, do you mean this board or do you mean Parks and Rec board?
Well, both technically, because I thought at what the last discussion was, that position may be changing. So if the roles and the functions and the job duties would probably change and maybe potentially the pay as well. I mean, wasn't that the last discussion that we had? Or I was kind of shocked to see it posted for filling.
Go ahead, Danielle, let you.
So you guys did talk about that at the council level, and at that time, you guys had directed me to take it to the Parks and Rec board to review that because you guys talked about that they wanted more to do and more authority and some ability to do things. So they reviewed the job description and went through all of that. There is some bylaw changes that are gonna be tied to that they're still working on. But we did move forward with getting that position posted because the bylaw changes are really geared towards the roles and responsibility of the Parks and Recreation Board. Because at that time, the Parks and Rec Board wanted to be able to oversee the programs, either like adding, changing, deleting. And the intent at that time was to structure it similar to like the DDA program, where that individual would report to the, like I oversee the day-to-day, but they report to the board like changes and happenings with those programs. So those bylaw amendments will be coming to you guys. But their actual, like the program coordinators roles, the Parks and Rec Board said that they'll be required to come to their meetings to communicate and share those updates on the programs and things like that, and then to oversee those programs. And then it was all of the aquatic center items were removed, which this board, the council directed that to happen.
Okay,
Well, there's something more you were looking for.
I don't like the process and that, you know, I kind of lost that battle in the hiring and firing sort of hierarchy of policies and procedures. I just think it's better for us to be in the know and who we're interviewing and how it's going and how it goes about. Again, I'm not to say that I want to scrap that position, but I think that we had talked about potentially having more volunteers step up and sort of fill the role. Obviously, we're trying to tighten our belts on all of the spending that we have. So that was part of the, I thought, planned discussion on how do we maybe have volunteers sort of run the programming, and that the director does a different sort of operational position. So again, I'm just one person, but I feel that it just sort of breaks that knowledge of what the board is here to do. I feel, again, this committee sort of breaks the know or the operational behind it. I get what the intention is, and yes, we don't want a Parks and Rec Board that just sits to talk and not have any action. I totally understand that, but I didn't think we were ready to even fill the position yet. That's my opinion.
Does anybody else have a question about that? The rest, Danielle might could answer.
I mean, I kind of get what Mike's alluding to. I think I asked you about that. I was also under the assumption, based on our talks, that Parks and Rec was going to take over coordinating all those positions. And when you and I talked, you said, well, that was just to get us through the fall.
That's correct.
And that's where I guess I misunderstood how we were going with this. So, I mean, I guess I'm fine either way. We just need to make sure that this thing gets buttoned down and the Parks and Rec Board has better oversight over
I think
that position.
That's my impression is that's exactly what's going to happen.
Right.
But under the guise of knowing that we need to have a leader, that it cannot be all a volunteer based. We need that point person, and that point person that has that communication with Danielle as well. And that's kind of what we surmised as a Parks and Rec group, is that we still need to have that person. I think one of the things with the Parks and Rec group is that we have said we want to do more, we expect to do more. And with the hourly wage, we would expect that to be a little more monitored. Does that make sense? Meaning we're going to know more how much time it's actually done on things than what we have, I think, in the past versus that salary base versus the hourly base. I hear where you're coming from. I personally think we're going to be okay with it. I really do, by what we've got going on with the board and our expectations and what we are looking for that programming person to do. There won't be any of this willy-nilly, well, I thought we would just start this, or I thought we would start that. None of that stuff's going to happen without a work plan. Nothing is going to occur without a work plan. NOTHING, rah, 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 me. So that's a cheer, okay, that we definitely will happen. I can assure that. No, if there's no work plan, no, nothing will happen. If there is a work plan, it will be considered, no guarantee, if a work plan is mandated, yes.
All right, did you have anything else for us?
Yes, last, two more things, the police, Sparks grant, Danielle, do we have the status on that by any chance? Have you heard?
They are supposed to announce the recipients, they said in September.
Yes.
I have been daily getting on the My Grants website, and right now, all of our application still says it's under review. There's been nothing released, I've not been contacted. So I'm very impatiently waiting. You guys will be the first to know after I find out. Well, unless we win, I might run in front of the office yelling to the staff first, so you might be second.
Yeah, okay. And then my third question, Dave, is for the ordinances. I know that that's something that you guys have been working on. Some of that paperwork with the different ordinances and how things are moving with them.
Well, the penalty provisions and the violations.
Yeah, well, I call them all ordinances, sorry.
Yep. So after Danielle then provided, we went through some edits, Danielle provided them to me for some feedback, and then I responded that they are that what she presented to me looked good. And so my understanding is she's gonna provide them to some of the staff that would have input, and then receive some input on that. Once we get those, then the next step really is to sit down and review which ordinances do we want to have as municipal civil infractions, as opposed to which ones we want to leave as misdemeanors. There's also the option to have ordinances be either or at the discretion of the village, at the discretion of the prosecuting officials at the time. So, for example, there are some disorderly conduct ordinances where they can be either a misdemeanor or a civil infraction, depending upon the facts and circumstances of that particular case. So that's once Danielle gets the feedback from the staff, then we'll be going through and looking at which ordinances we would recommend be civil infractions, and then drafting those specifically to present to you.
Do we have a time frame on those?
So, and staff's already reviewed the ordinance prior to it even going back to Dave, just to make sure. I just want them to give it a once over.
Sure.
Because Dave and I made a few changes and just make sure we didn't miss anything. So their review should be, I would say, not too long. And then we can, correct me if I'm wrong, if we can adopt that while we're working on the ordinances that'll reference it, correct?
Yes, we can adopt that comprehensive ordinance. And then as we go along and amend the individual ordinances to bring them within the municipal civil infractions, then those would just get added to the list as we go along. So you can approve that master violations and penalties ordinance. And while we are still reviewing which ordinances do we want to add as civil infractions.
What staff are participating?
So the police department has been, and prior it was Stacy as well. But those were the two big ones, because a lot of that comes from the individuals that have the authority to write any of the citations are police officers, the zoning administrator, and the village administrator.
I was wondering how Brandon or Lisa would have some effect.
So Brandon and Lisa won't have the authority under the ordinance that we drafted to write a violation, but they will have the ability to accept a payment or to accept if an individual denies or they agree that they were in violation, they can accept that form, but they can't actually issue the violation.
They will be part of what's called Municipal Civil Infractions Bureau, which means who is responsible for receiving payment. When somebody gets a notice of a violation and they want to come in and pay their fine, then they can come into the village and they would either pay their fine, or they would say, no, I'm not accepting responsibility. And then Brandon or Danielle or Lisa would then pass that on so that the next step will be taken.
Thank you. And then the last part then, Dave, for you, regarding the embezzlement case. I think I understand, but defense has filed a motion to quash the bind over. What does that word quash mean?
What it means is it's a specific word in that context where the defense has asked the circuit court judge to quash as a special type of terminate, so to speak, or overturn that bind over that the district court judge, after the preliminary examination, the district court judge ruled that there was sufficient evidence to send the case up to circuit court. What the defense is arguing, I haven't seen the motion because I'm not directly involved in it. But they would argue that the prosecution did not present sufficient evidence, that the district court judge abused their discretion in binding it up to the circuit court. If that motion is successful, then the circuit court judge then can dismiss the case, which is the most often happen. I did confirm, I know there was the date that I sent to all of you, that was the next pretrial, that I did confirm that is also going to be the date for the hearing for this motion.
And what is that date?
November, it was in the email that I sent to you.
Oh, my apologies, that's right there, November 20th at 11:30.
Yes.
Thanks, Dave, I appreciate that.
No problem.
Those are all my questions. Thank you.
All right, any other council discussion?
Round table tomorrow night, Deerfield.
Yes. Deerfield Town Hall. All right, I will open up for public comment, items not on the agenda, or, go ahead.
I just a real quick comment. I just want to thank all the volunteers that turn the town teal for ovarian cancer month. They're everywhere. It looks fabulous. Out at the school, on the bridge, they did a lot of work and it looks great. I appreciate it.
And I think there's an event coming up at the next home football game, if I'm correct, that the crowd is to wear teal this coming Friday
Oh, okay. For homecoming?
for homecoming.
Yeah, all of them. They're all, I've never seen them out at the school like they have been this year.
Yeah.
So
So I think they had a student that
they were everywhere. But
was
that's great. Yeah.
affected by the,
Yeah.
so you're right, okay. All right, any other public comment? All right, well, if there's none, I will take a motion to adjourn. So support. Lisa?
You guys know it, right?
Eric,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Jane.
Yes, meeting adjourned.